Hello. Today I'm going to tie for you a fly that was introduced by John Barr in or around 1975. Footnote here, I was about 5 years into becoming a fly tyer and fly fisherman. So we're going to use 8/0 gray Uni-Thread for this fly and tie it on a size 18 curved hook, a TMC 206 barbless. I'm going to use one of the red fibered feathers from a pheasant skin, superfine dubbing, and I'm going to add a strand of crystal flash over the wing case. And I'm going to use Gadwell. I'll talk about those feathers a little bit for the wing case and the legs. So let's get that gray Uni-Thread started. Back a little bit from the eye, kind of gives me an aiming point so that I make sure I don't crowd the eye. And regardless, I always seem to get up there a little close. Now here's that feather I pulled from the pheasant skin, and about 10 of those red fibers. Now the length really doesn't matter here because we're going to trim these off. They represent the shock of an emerging insect, emerging mayfly. And we're going to tie them down around the bend a little bit and then move forward to kind of tidy up. So here's one thing. I watched Charlie Craven tie one of these, and this is something I do that he doesn't. I cut my tail short now because if I screw this up, I'm not that far in. Now, I'm sure he's very good at this and confident, but if I screw up, I only have to unwrap a few threads and tie in a few more fibers and replace the tail. So that's either a tip or just one of my phobias. So here we have some of the superfine dubbing. The color is kind of a honey brown. I'm not sure what they call it exactly. Um, that lettering has kind of worn off my box over the years, but it kind of represents the original colors. Now you can tie this in any color combination, to be honest with you, and a lot of different sizes too. This can be a midge. You can tie it smaller than that size 18. There aren't that many materials, and they do go on pretty tight. You can add a bead if you feel like you need a bead to help get it down. On the smaller ones, I usually don't do that. So I'm going to double over that strand of crystal flash and then fold it back and wrap back over it. I'm going to use that as a kind of a topper for the wing case to give it that little sparkle. I don't know if that represents an air bubble or something, but seems to add a little bit of, dare I say, killing power to the fly. So here's a little clump cut from that Gadwell. It's a little more than a hook gap in width. And I tie it in by the butt section. We'll trim off the excess. And it's time to go back to dubbing. And again, I think you can use a bunch of different colors here. This is the superfine dubbing, but this is the gray that was in my box. So we'll build a little bulbous thorax out of gray superfine. And superfine really doesn't help this fly sink. So this is if if you're fishing multiple flies and you're using a heavier weighted fly at the bottom, or maybe even a split shot to get this fly down, or you can fish this right up below the surface or in the surface as a true emerger. So there I've left almost enough room. I felt like I should have left just a little more room behind the eye, but I don't know. Then the head feels too big when I'm all done, but this one didn't come out half bad. And I don't always tie a dozen or so of these before I film, so with practice and doing a couple in a row, I'm sure you can get the proportions and the stopping points a little better than I might on some of these videos. So we'll wrap down our flash, fold it back, take a wrap or two back over it. And by doing that, I kind of moved my thread back as well. So I can snip off the excess. And then I want to split those fibers evenly into 2 clumps. We're going to fold them back and trim them, and they'll become the legs. So I fought it a little bit there, but I got about half on each side. Held the back side up, and when I wrapped it, fell into place. Pulled this one down on this side. And we'll hurry up and get a whip finish in there before something changes its mind and wants to move or come loose. And I like to take that last wrap of the whip finish down around just behind the eye of the hook. It seems to be a little tighter when you do that. And we'll trim off the thread. Now if you zoom in, or the screen's big enough, you'll see I've got some little fuzzy stuff there hanging out beyond the hook eye. That's going to bother me. We're going to pull those fibers back, the Gadwell fibers back, and trim them about just beyond the thorax. They might be a little long, a little short there. They'll probably separate as I fish them a little bit. I could bend them up a little bit and primp them so they'd spread out. But that's essentially the fly. Now that fuzz still bothered me, so don't try this trick at home, folks. But flames and some of this stuff don't mix. But I did singe away those real fine fibers that were bothering me. And this pattern benefits from a drop of Sally Hansen's on top of the thorax/wing case, a little bit on the thread, keep it from unraveling, and you get a nice bulbous wing case with a little shine to it. So thanks for hanging in there. This wasn't one of the longer videos, but that's a good fly. Get some in your box, different sizes, different colors. If you want to learn more about me, look me up on Amazon.com.